civilians killed and 230 others injured in the terrorist bombing in al-Thawra street in Damascus. Our army units chased terrorist groups in different cities and towns, killing and injuring dozens of them. French authorities acknowledge that at least 50 Salafi jihadists who carry the French passport have joined the war in Syria. Good afternoon, this is Irado Krikorian with the news in English. Terrorist attacks and explosions hit Damascus, including al-Thawra street, which was targeted this morning by a booby-trapped car blast in a densely populated area, killing 53 citizens and injuring more than 230, including children and school students.
A terrorist explosion took place in the forenoon today in al-Thawra street in the surroundings of al-Mazraa residential neighborhood in Damascus, causing casualties and injuries among civilians, including children and students, and inflicting huge material damage on citizens' houses near the site of the explosion. Saad's correspondent said the bombing took place in a densely populated area near a crossroad of main streets. It killed and injured a large number of civilians, drivers, students and passers-by, he added. It also caused huge material damage to al-Hayat Hospital and its medical equipment and Abdullah ibn Zubayr School. A large number of minibuses and cars were burnt. Sana's reporter added that the authorities seized a car loaded with cylinder-shaped bathwater heaters filled with explosives on the site of the blast in al-Thawra street. The terrorist driving the car was arrested, the reporter noted.
The terrorist blast that took place in al-Thawra street, claiming the lives of dozens of citizens and injuring scores of innocent civilians, has triggered condemnation on a wide scale. The Ba'ath Arab Socialist Party regional leadership strongly denounced the explosion, affirming that it is a proof of its perpetrators' bankruptcy and their defeat by our valiant armed forces. The Arab Socialist Movement and the National Youth Party for Justice and Development branded the terrorist blast as a confirmation of the terrorists' hatred against the Syrian people. The Bar Association, the Pharmacists Union and the General Peasants Federation condemned this ugly crime which targeted innocent civilians, stressing that Syria will remain steadfast in the face of conspiracies and terrorism. Minister of Religious Endowments Dr. Abdel-Sattar al-Sayed said the blast took place by those who infiltrate into Syria across the borders to plant death and devastation, stressing that whoever wants to convey such messages cannot belong to this homeland. The inhabitants of the occupied Syrian Golan denounced the terrorist explosion in Damascus, which they said was perpetrated by terrorists supported by the US, Zionism and some Gulf and regional states. Head of national figures in the Palestinian lands occupied in 1948, Sheikh Suleiman condemned the terrorist blast that targets Syria and its people and branded them as the result of the failure of the terrorists in confronting the Syrian Arab army. In Homs, our army units and borders guards have foiled infiltration attempts by terrorists from Lebanon into Syrian territories in Tel Kalakh suburbs, killing and injuring several armed men. A source in the governorate said the terrorist groups tried to infiltrate from al-Majbal, Harmoush, al-Armuta and Shahira positions in Tel Kalakh. They also attacked the border guard centers and Jisr Omar secretariat in the region using missile shells and machine guns. The source said the army units and the borders guards thwarted the attempt after inflicting huge losses on the terrorists. Ambulances were seen heading to the Lebanese side to carry the casualties. In Idlib countryside, units of the armed forces carried out a number of qualitative operations at the crossroad of Amouda town and Al-Jamiliya town in Jisr al-Shughur. A number of the terrorists who were committing acts of looting and highway robbery were either killed or injured during the operations. In the same province, units of the armed forces also smashed a den used by the terrorists for planning their operations in Al-Janudiyya town, as all the terrorists were eliminated and the equipment was destroyed. In the town of Ain al-Tina, an army unit attacked a group of terrorists, killing and injuring a number of them. After clearing al-Hazzaza neighborhood, our army units have continued to establish security and stability in the ancient part of Aleppo, reaching the area of Sahit al-Hatab. The following images show the bulk of devastation caused by the armed terrorist groups. Lebanese Foreign Minister Adnan Mansour renewed his country's stance, which calls for finding a political solution to the crisis in Syria through dialogue among the Syrians themselves without foreign interference. In an interview with Russia Today channel, Mansour stressed the need to halt the violence in Syria and launch a political dialogue process between the opposition and the government. He stressed that any reforms demanded by the people cannot be achieved by means of violence. He called on the international community to work together to bring the violence to a halt and help get all the parties go for the dialogue and political solution. The Lebanese foreign minister affirmed that Lebanon stands against any foreign intervention in Syria's internal affairs, saying such an intervention would further complicate the crisis and threatens the region's stability. French authorities acknowledged today that at least 50 Salafi jihadists who carry the French passport are currently in Syria. The weekly TTY magazine, specialized in strategic affairs, quoted the French General Attorney for Combating Terrorism, Marc Trevich, as saying that at least 50 Salafi jihadists have joined the war in Syria. For his part, the French Interior Minister, Manuel Valls, said that at least 100 persons of French nationality who are affiliated with al-Qaeda organization have entered Syria illegally, as news report pointed out that at least 6 terrorists of those were killed inside the Syrian territories. In a new Israeli aggression on the West Bank cities, Israeli settlers attacked today the village of Kasra, south of Nablus, and set fire into 6 cars owned by Palestinian citizens. Palestinian news agency quoted Palestinian sources as saying that the attack was carried by dozens of settlers who assaulted the village from 2 directions under the protections of Israeli soldiers. Meanwhile, a group of settlers attacked at dawn today Joseph Grave, east of Nablus, amidst tight security measures taken by Israeli authorities. Clashes erupted between Palestinian youngsters and Israeli soldiers who used tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse them. In Algeria, Algerian troops stationed along the borders with Libya arrested in Alesi state 2 gunmen affiliated with al-Qaeda terrorist organization when they were trying to infiltrate into Algeria, accompanied by dozens of other terrorists who fled the war in Mali following the attack of French troops on their positions. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more news about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Nariman Qassam after a short break.